Hi, so I'm making this video in answer to a question that I got on another video that I made for this game. This is the last game on Prep Test 75, and I'm just going to do the last two questions. The main issue, I think, or the concern, I guess, is how to interpret the last rule in the context of the setup, the scenario here, the rest of the game. So let's try to sort of map this out. Okay, so each issue has 5 slots, 1 through 5. Okay, so we've got an issue and it has 5 slots. The policy of the newsletter requires that there are at least 3 features per issue. So an issue has 5 slots, and within those 5 slots, we're going to have to get a minimum of 3 features. Okay, so one issue is 5 slots with a minimum of 3 features. So slots and features must be different. There's some relationship between them, we would assume, because an issue contains both. Each feature completely occupies one or more of the slots. So I would think about it as it's an issue of a newsletter. So I would try to think about it on paper as much as possible and just think that I have 5 pieces of paper in front of me, and the features are going to be the featured stories for this particular newsletter. And so those featured stories are going to be contained on one or more of the pages. And then the features there are different types of features. Okay, so feature types that are possible are finance, industry, marketing, and technology. Those are the different types. Any slot not containing a feature contains a graphic. So if no feature, then graphic. If no graphic, then feature. Okay. Yeah, so like as an example, I could say, oh, well, on the first page, I'm going to have a finance feature. Okay. And then on the second page, I'm going to have an industry feature. And on the third page, I'll have a marketing feature. And then let's throw a graphic in there. And the last page will be a technology feature. And then I could see, is that actually going to follow the rules that continue forward? So I'll just kind of give that as an example. Will that follow the rules as the first one? So any feature occupying more than one slot must occupy consecutively numbered slots. Okay, so that's interesting. That really brings it to the forefront that it is possible for a feature to occupy more than one slot. So let's say this finance feature actually is going to also occupy the second spot. So that finance feature actually continues into the second spot. So that would be allowed. That would be fine. We still have our minimum of 3 features with finance, marketing, and technology. So that's fine. If any issue has any finance or technology feature, then a finance or technology feature must occupy slot 1. All right, so we do have finance and tech in this issue, but we followed the rule without even meaning to necessarily, and we have finance in slot 1. So rule 2 is followed. When we get to rule 3, an issue can have at most 1 industry feature. So here we don't have any, so that's fine. We're following the rules. But let's make one of them industry. Okay, that follows the rules. If that industry feature happens to cover 2 slots, we're still following the rules here. We still have 3 different features. We still have only a single industry feature. It just happens to occupy more than 1 slot. So any feature that occupies more than 1 slot has to occupy consecutively numbered slots. What I can't do is I can't have industry feature number 1 and then industry feature number 2. This number 2 industry feature can never exist. I could have industry feature 1 occupy 2 slots, or even 3 slots potentially, right? So I could have it occupy 2, 3, and 4. I still have my minimum of 3 features. I have a finance feature, an industry feature, and a technology feature, but that middle industry feature is occupying all of those slots. So that would be totally fine. Okay, so we don't have to have one of each type. We could have an issue where all of the features are finance, or all of them are technology, or all of them are marketing. We can't have one where all of them are industry, because we can't have more than one industry feature in an issue. So hopefully that makes a bit more sense of it. The way that that's going to apply to these questions here. So question 22. If in any particular issue, slot 1 is occupied by the only industry feature in that issue. Okay, so what would that look like? So slot 1 is occupied by the only industry feature. Okay, so I know that that is slot 1, but what I don't know is, does that feature continue on to slot 2 or to slot 3? Just because slot 1 is occupied by the only industry feature doesn't mean it's the only slot occupied by an industry feature. Okay, so it's only one industry feature, but that industry feature that's in slot 1 could continue all the way to slot 3, potentially. That would still be allowed. And then because we have industry in slot 1, we can't have finance or technology in this issue at all. So if any finance or technology feature is included, then we have to have finance or tech in slot 1. So if we don't have finance or tech in slot 1, we can't have finance or tech in the issue at all. So we're left with marketing. And because we have to have a minimum of 3 features, that means we're going to have 2 marketing features at least to overcome that rule or whatever, to meet that expectation. We could have just a single slot occupied by the single industry feature, and we could put the marketing ones right there close to it. Then we could have graphics towards the end. We could, we still have to have industry in one. Let's say we decide that we're going to split those marketing features up with a couple of graphics. So here I'm just showing a bunch of combinations where we're putting the marketing features in different spots, but we're still following all of the rules. So which one of the following is required for that issue would be, which of the following must be true if we just have a single industry feature and it occupies slot 1. So D, there is a marketing feature that occupies 1 or more of slots 2, 3, and 4. So if I look at 2, 3, and 4 here, there's 2, 3, and 4. Well, I've got, wasn't able to get away without putting marketing in there. 2, 3, and 4, I've got both of them. So that's where the more comes in, 1 or more. And here we've definitely got 1. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get away with putting industry in 1 and then not putting any marketing in 2, 3, or 4. Right? That's just not going to work. That would mean we only have 1 marketing feature, and then we only have 2 features in the whole issue. We haven't met the minimum of 3. So yeah, that would be a problem. So that means that D is required, right? If D isn't true, then we're not following the rules anymore. So D is required to be true, right? Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. Hopefully that helps to clarify rule 3. I'm going to go to question 23 now. Any of the following is allowed for an issue of the newsletter except. Okay, so we've got 4 answer choices here that could be true, right? That would be allowed. And then the one exception is the thing that is not allowed, right? That must be false. Okay, so D is the correct answer here. Why is it that D must be false? So there is exactly one marketing feature and no finance or technology feature. So that's kind of like the example that I had just given, right? We have one marketing feature and we don't have any finance and we don't have any technology. So the only thing left is industry, but we can't have more than one industry. So we have one marketing, one industry. It's not going to work, right? We wouldn't meet our minimum of 3. So yeah, so that's why D is the correct answer there. Hopefully that makes sense as well. And again, if it doesn't, feel free to leave comments and ask questions. I do think probably one of the more confusing points here is the wording here that yeah, if in a particular issue of the newsletter slot 1 is occupied by the only industry feature in that issue, then what's required? I think there may be some confusion around whether that means that, yeah, slot 1 has industry in it and none of the other slots have industry in them. That being said, it shouldn't actually make a difference for this. So if you assumed that meant that slot 1 contains the only industry feature and we can't have it continue further, you would still end up having to choose D. So yeah, if you are struggling with this, if you could specifically comment which question and which answer choice you'd like me to explain, whether you'd like me to explain why the correct answer is correct or why an incorrect answer is incorrect. That would be great. So if you don't understand how I would be able to eliminate either A, B, C, or E, then you can comment and say, can you explain why 22E is wrong? Something like that. That would be really helpful for me just in keeping it nice and short. Probably helpful for you too, so that you don't have to like wade through as much information to get at the answer that you really want. So yeah, hopefully that helps, and I will talk to you in the next one.